Sure. As always, man, appreciate you guys coming out, covering the Terps and joining us today. Start with some thoughts on Indiana. Obviously, on offense, I thought we played about a complete game as we have played all year. Our ability to create scoring opportunities and big plays showed up big in that game and really helped us get off to a fast start. Defensively, it's the seventh straight game, I think, that we've held an opponent under 20 points or fewer, and it's a testament to the job that our defensive staff, Brian Williams, Lance Thompson, James Thomas, Henry Baker, and Zach Spavital, all those guys on that side of the ball, as well as some of those, the GAs over there, have really done a good job of putting our players in the best position to have success. And so, special teams, once again, we were able to set up a score. Jay Sean's big punt return allowed us there early on to get off to the fast start that we wanted to create. And it was by far, in my opinion, the most complete game after reviewing it. Were there things to make corrections off of? There were, but I can tell you that we were trending in the right direction with hitting the momentum or getting the momentum that we needed to have going into a game like this. Obviously, Ohio State is up, going to Columbus on Friday, and it's a great opportunity for the Terps football family. Got a lot of respect for Ryan Day, his program, what he's been able to accomplish there the last 3-4 years. Very balanced team. I think you look at them on offense, defense, they're scoring. They're stopping, keeping people out of the end zone. They had a big win a couple of weeks ago against Notre Dame. Talented players. Marvin Harrison will be the best receiver we will face all year long. He's really talented, makes big plays, makes the contested catches. When you look at Ohio State overall, the surprising thing that jumped out to me is just how many 4th and 5th year starters they have in their starting lineup. And typically with a place like Ohio State, guys aren't around that long. So to me, it's a testament to the job that Coach Day and his staff have done to create an environment where guys are staying for 4 and 5 years, and they've got tremendous experience. I'm sure there'll be a great atmosphere there for it's their homecoming. And while we got a lot of respect for Ohio State, we also know that it's Game 6 on our schedule. It's not the Super Bowl. As we prepare, as I say each week, it's Terps versus Terps more than it is about our opponent, and I think that will be even more so evident this week as we prepare, because as I told our staff, it's our job to put our players in the best position with what we put together from a game plan standpoint, but ultimately it's going to come down to players making plays, and we've got some talented players in our locker room, and big-time players show up in big-time games, and so we're excited about it. We prepare the same week regardless of who our opponent is, and so I know our players have embraced that approach, and it's really helped us, especially with the consistency piece that we've been working really hard for. Our game captains this week, we actually have 4. We got DJ Glaze, Dante Trader, Quayshawn Fuller, and Talia Tungavailoa will serve as our game captains heading up to Columbus. And so with that, I'll open it up to whatever questions you guys may have.
Good afternoon, Mike.
Hey,
Ohio State leads the Big Ten in passing. They're second in scoring, third in overall yardage with a new quarterback, Kyle McCord. What have you seen on the tape? What has he been able to do the last 4 games that concerns you?
Yeah, I think they're really balanced. I mean, they are obviously, he's gotten better every week that he started, and that's what you expect with a first-year starter at the quarterback position. And, he's taken over a system that is a quarterback-friendly system. He has the intangibles. He has the ability to make all the throws, but I thought they've really done a really good job of how they brought him along, and the run game shows up. 32 is a really special player. Henderson kid is as talented a running back that we'll face, and it's going to be important for us to do a great job of, one, trying to make them play one-handed by trying to take away the run game, which is something that we're a work in progress still with our defense, is being more efficient in our run defense. We've not given up a bunch of yards, but some of the efficiency of how people have been able to run the ball, especially on first down, we've got to do a better job this week, especially against this team.
Hey, Mike. You mentioned Ohio State's scoring defense second in the country. They're 6th overall in total defense. What's it going to take to move the ball on them consistently?
The players have to make plays. They got a good scheme. We've studied it. It's not anything that we haven't seen thus far, but this is going to be a game that comes down to, as I told our staff again, we've got to put a really good plan together of how we want to attack. But ultimately, it's going to come down to our players making the plays there that are there to be made. And it's a player's game, and as we go into this thing, I think our players need to understand that this is why you come to Maryland, to compete against the best, and here's an opportunity, and what a gauge it'll be for our program to see what happens as we go up there to compete.
It's kind of a follow-up that you mentioned after the game on Saturday that no player had mentioned Ohio State last week. Just how do you get players to kind of focus week to week? Because it seems like human nature when you see Ohio State on the schedule, you know they're there. How do you kind of keep them focused on what the task is at hand right in front of them? Yeah,
it started 4 years ago when we came up with faceless and nameless opponents. We don't adjust how we prepare. Like we don't, as I told our coaches, we don't need to play the fight song in the locker room this week. This isn't one of those weeks where gimmicks are going to get the job done. For us, it's about earning the respect that we feel we deserve. Our opportunity to compete against the top team in our conference, one of the top teams in our conference the last few years, and I know our players are really excited about it. We've got some talented players in our locker room, and I think it's all about us earning the respect that I think our players feel we deserve.
Hey, Coach. So you guys have gone closer with Ohio State each of the past 3 years with the games. What's the key to kind of just getting over the hurdle and finally defeating them in one of these?
Again, I'm going to keep saying it's going to come down to players making plays, and, having had the opportunity to compete against Ohio State quite a bit as an assistant, at Illinois and then here, whenever we've had success against a team like Ohio State, it comes down to the players in your program that you recruit playing to the best of their ability on that day. And so the goal for us as a staff is to get our players prepared to play their best on Saturday in Columbus. And if we do that, we'll leave it out on the field and we'll deal with whatever the repercussions are.
And then a quick follow-up. How is this year's team different from those past years? It just seems like you've talked a little bit about the brotherhood. It just seems like there's something different with this year's team.
It is, and it starts with that player-driven leadership. As a coach, typically, if you have to move the team, if you're the catalyst to the energy of the team, it's not always beneficial. And I always say coach-led teams are good teams, but player-led teams are great teams. And I think this team gets it. They've been through a lot. These relationships and this bond has been forged over time and through adversity, and as well as some good times, and I think they enjoy being around each other. I love coaching this group, because any challenge you put in front of them, they meet it head first, and they don't complain, they don't bitch, they don't make excuses, and to me, that's what it's all about, and I think that's what's kind of the sweet or the secret sauce to what's happening so far this year.
Hey, Coach.
What's up, Varun?
How do you feel your pass rush has come together as the season's gone along, and how do you feel they're equipped to take on the Buckeyes?
I'll always say I want more pressure on the quarterback. I think our guys have done a really good job of keeping the quarterback or disrupting the timing. We do some things, obviously dropping 8 and coverage-wise helps sometimes, but also the pressure of, winning some of the one-on-one battles. Guys like Quayshawn Fuller and Donnell Brown and, Tommy Aking-Basote, Tajay Johnson, all those guys have done a really good job of applying the necessary pressure, but we're going to have to find a way to affect the quarterback this week, and he gets it out quick, and it's going to be important for us to do a great job of being pass rush sound in terms of our lanes and keeping them in the pocket. But as always, you want to see us get more sacks. I'd love to see us be more disruptive, but so far so good. We've been able to affect some of the quarterbacks we've played, and the last 2 we've played, the ball comes out really quickly, so to be able to get sacks is a testament to the back end that the coverage that's been taking place.
And then I know against Michigan State, when they said that it was their homecoming game, you guys seem to take that as a bit of a slight. Is there anything like that for Ohio State?
I don't think we took it as a slight. We found out a little late, but as I said, external things aren't going to be what motivates us. I'm sure like around here, we don't pick our homecoming opponent. Campus does. It's just amazing sometimes. You look up on the schedule and you're on 4 homecomings, maybe just the luck of the draw, I guess.
Hey, Coach.
What's up, Heather?
Hey. 2 games into the conference season, things going well. You said this team's ready to compete for Big Ten championships. I'm assuming this is kind of where you're expecting, or what are you seeing at this point, 2 games into conference play and now heading into probably your toughest test yet?
Yeah, I mean, as I said at the game Saturday, when I talk to our team, we talk honestly. We have really honest dialogue, and I don't think anybody is surprised that we are where we are right now. I don't think anybody, didn't think we could be here, and that's half the battle because it starts with that belief. Me talking about competing for Big Ten championships, as I've said before, I think sometimes it was maybe misconstrued that we're here to say we're ready to win a Big Ten championship, but we're going to compete. And I think that's what people are starting to see, that our team is competing at a really high level. Now, this week is a good gauge. It's a hell of an opportunity, but even better, a better gauge as to where we really are as a program. And our players have embraced it. As a staff, we've embraced it. It's a great test, and we'll see how we do on Saturday.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
George, what's up?
Not much. Saturday is the largest environment that you're going to go into this season, 100,000 plus people. Horseshoe's an intimidating place for a lot of people. Do you do anything different for your team to prepare them for something like that, noise-wise or crowd-wise, to get them ready for what they're going to experience in Columbus?
Nothing that we don't ordinarily do. When we play on the road against Michigan State, we pump crowd music in on Thursday. That's why we go indoors to the indoor facility to practice on our Thursdays, and we'll pump the crowd noise up for where it affects our quarterback some, and it helps us with our communications. But, we're a no-huddle team. We don't use a lot of verbiage at the line of scrimmage, so noise really doesn't affect us. As far as the environment of playing in front of that many people, if you've ever been inside the arena, you don't really notice, when we were playing in the pandemic, when there were nobody in the stands, to where we play and there's 100,000. If your focus is on the right things and where it's supposed to be, you don't really notice the crowd. As I said, our way we prepare, we don't have to make any adjustments to going up to Columbus.
Coach, you mentioned focusing mostly on yourselves and not on the opponents week in and week out. I guess, how do you balance that with the obvious motivational benefits potentially of playing a top-ranked team and
Yeah, I think you keep the main thing, which is, we game plan as coaches, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we install it. Our players practice these things, balancing the motivation piece. I think the motivation is there. We're trying to compete for Big Ten championships, and we're going against one of the top programs in our league, if not in the country. And so if that doesn't motivate you, there's nothing I can say or do that will. And I hope that through recruiting and the type of way we develop our players mentally here, that they understand the task at hand. They understand what it's going to take to go up and have success in Columbus. And it's not going to be a whole bunch of gimmicky, rah-rah, fiery speeches. It's going to come down to big-time players making big-time plays and big-time games. And, our staff has to do our part to put together the plan, and then the players have to do their part as part of the partnership of executing it. And you know what? Go to Columbus, lay it on the line, and if it's good enough, it is. If it's not, we'll get it fixed, and then we'll get prepared for whoever's next on our schedule.
Two more in the back, David.
Hi, Coach. Back here.
What's up?
All right. Talia, he's had good games again in the last 2 years against Ohio, including the game at Ohio State 2 years ago. What goes into his preparation to any
Who's
confidence?
that? I didn't hear you say it.
Talia?
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. His preparation, does that give him any extra, does he go back and look at that and say, this is what I did well that week? And Ohio State, their familiarity, having seen him these past couple of years, does that give them any kind of advantage?
I think any advantages that are there is the advantages of familiarity of every year we play them. They're on the eastern half of our league. They're one of the top teams in our league. So when we prepare, yeah, we utilize some of the things we saw or things that happened a year ago, maybe the last couple of years, to see what things worked, what things didn't. I don't think it gives any side, whether it's Leah or Ohio State, an advantage because of the familiarity. I think what it comes down to is how Leah plays this Saturday, because what he's done in the past may have been sufficient, but it wasn't enough. And I think the key now is to do enough and make enough plays to be able to leave there with the type of success we want to have. So I don't think there's any advantages gained from the familiarity, but I do think for us it's going to be important that Leah goes out, and he's one of those players that I talk about, needs to make the plays that are there to be made to give us a shot.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, what's up?
You talked about a lot of the 4th and 5th year seniors at Ohio State, and that's a lot of the culture and whatnot. When you look at the stats, statistically, Ohio State sits at the top of a lot of the defensive categories, but very unlike Ohio State, they sit in second last in the Big Ten in sacks. Just kind of curious, with Maryland, allowing 3 sacks through 5 weeks, what's kind of the level of confidence in the Maryland's offensive line and pass blocking from the running backs, and then do you feel like there's maybe anything that jumps out about that Ohio State front seven?
Yeah, I think the thing that jumps out probably more than anything is, they may not statistically have sacks, but pressure is just as advantageous as sacks are at times. I know you study the game, and I'm sure you and Varun study it a lot to know that, there's this big thing going on called dropping 8. We do it quite a bit too, where you rush 3 and there's 8 guys in coverage, and then the quarterback is kind of, holding the ball. And when you rush 3, you very rarely are going to get sacks because you got 5 guys blocking 3. So I think you'll see that when we study them on defense, they're dropping what we call P coverage, where they're dropping 8 to cover spaces, and a lot of that is to stop RPOs, to stop the down the field vertical passing game, and it affects your statistics. But let's not get it twisted. 44 and 18 or the Sawyer kid on the other side, 33, whatever number he is, those guys are pass rushers. The interior D-line are really talented players. They're well coached. Larry Johnson does as good a job of developing players, and their front 4 is the best front 4 we faced. Statistically, it may not show up with the sacks, but they have done a good job of creating pressure. But I also think some of the defensive schematics that they do maybe have added to their inability to get the stats that you look for, but they are effective.
Last one, Judith.
Okay. I guess, how has Colton Spangler developed as a punter during his time at Maryland?
Really well. He's started, sharing the position with Anthony Pecorella. At one point, he was the left hash guy because he was left-footed, and Anthony Pecorella was the right hash guy because he was right foot. Colton took over the job a year ago, has really done a good job this past weekend. We played Indiana, and number 12 is a talented return guy. He's directionally putting the ball where we want it to be, which allows us to kind of cover and cover only 1/3 of the field. His hang time has been great. He made a big play for us in the Michigan State game, so has been a true weapon from the special team standpoint, and has gotten better every year.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Still crowning our players.